Welcome to Tethered Tidbit, where we help you fall in love with your Bible, your faith, and with Jesus, one tidbit video at a time. The Bible was written for us, but not to us. You see, what I mean by that is the authors of the Bible, they weren't thinking of you when they penned out their respective books. They were, however, thinking of somebody. So while their words weren't written to a 21st century culture, they were written to a culture, an ancient one that was drastically different than ours today. So hear me out. The Bible was 100% inspired by God, and we can have confidence that every word, as we have them in our Bible today, is exactly what God wanted them to say. The Bible is for all people at all times and all places to read and gain wisdom from them. So to get the most benefit from what God was communicating when He inspired the authors of the Bible to write, we need to enter their world, to hear the words as the original audience would have heard them and as the author would have intended for them to mean. Let me show you why this is so important. Jeremiah 29:11, it's a commonly misused verse. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plan to prosper you, not to harm you, a plan to give you a hope and a future. That's a pretty great sounding verse. You can find it written on NBA players' shoes or in framed pictures in people's hallways. Well, that at least sounds good when you apply these verses to you when they weren't actually intended for you. You see, Jeremiah 29:11, it was not written to us. Those verses were written to the people of Israel to address their situation at that time. The people of Israel were actually in captivity, away from their promised homeland, living in a place called Babylon, their beautiful city of Jerusalem completely destroyed. They had been prisoners hundreds of miles away. And the irony of taking these verses as a promise, even in their original context, is that God is actually disappointing them with these words. He's essentially saying, hey, one day you'll be free, one day you'll prosper, but not today. In fact, it will be 70 more years before it happens. All too often, a nice sounding Bible verse or a strange and cryptic Bible verse is taken out of its context and expected to directly apply to our circumstances. Try this one. The Lord is angry. He will totally destroy them. Their dead bodies will stink. The mountains will be soaked with their blood. Isaiah 34, verses 2 through 3. Out of context, directly applied to my life, yeah, that's frightening. Makes very little sense. So the best tactic we have is to get in the habit of stepping back, looking at the more fundamental question. What was the author originally saying? We cannot simply read our own understanding or even our own desire. And when we look at some of the bizarre sounding parts of the Bible, we have to try to discover who was the original audience. How can I view the text through their lens, not my own? Because if we don't, well, the possibility of confusion, it's endless. If you want more videos just like this, more tidbit videos of learning how to read this book and navigate our faith, you can find more tidbit videos right here on our YouTube channel. You can also find more resources like this, but more in depth, and a Christian community in this new hybrid approach at tethered.online. You see, Tethered is a hybrid approach to following Jesus, and we can't wait to build community with you. We'll see you all at the next tidbit video.